Hello. In problem 5 of your MT2 LT10 assignment, we have this problem. It says Rachel sees a baseball heading straight for her friend Brad. Brad has no idea that he's about to be hit by the baseball. So Brad's kind of just out in left field, not much paying attention to the game. So he's kind of clueless, isn't he? Rachel decides to run and intercept the baseball. Rachel is located at -3.7. So I think what we're going to do right away is let's label our points. So let's put -3.7 here for Rachel. And then Brad is at -1 and 6.25. And the baseball is at 20 and 2.5. So we can visually see them. We want to write an equation of a line that passes through Brad and the baseball. So I'm going to draw in this line. So we want the equation of that line. So what we're going to first, anytime we write an equation of a line, you need to find the slope. So in part A of this problem, slope, which I'm going to use as m, well, that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Rise over run. So our y coordinates are 2.5 and -6.25. So I'm going to say 2.5 minus a -6.25. Don't forget your negative sign on the 6.25. And then we'll do the same thing for the x coordinates. We're going to say 20 minus a -1. Well, 2.5 plus 6.25, well, that'll be 8.75, won't it? All over 21. Now, I don't like decimals within a fraction. You can have a decimal, you can have a fraction, but don't have both. So let's take 8.75 and let's change that so it's a nice whole number. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I think the easiest way is just move it over 2 decimal places so you get 875. Well, if you move it over 2 decimal places in the denominator, you got to add 2 zeros so you get 2100. Now let's reduce that. Well, I see 75 and 100, so I can divide numerator and denominator by 25. So we're just going to reduce it by dividing by 25. So 875 divided by 25. Well, that's 35. So we get 35 over, what's 2100 divided by 25? That is 84. Well, I think that reduces again, doesn't it? Because I think 7 goes into both of these. So we get 5 over 12. 84 divided by 7 is 12. Show you that just to make sure. And you get 12. Now, let's use one of our points, either Brad or the baseball. I'm going to use the baseball. So let's use our baseball as a point, and let's write the equation in point slope form. So y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So the y coordinate of our baseball is 2.5. So we're going to say y minus 2.5 equals our slope, which is 5 over 12, times x minus, x minus 20. Now, we want to get y by itself because I want to write this in slope-intercept form. So let's distribute that 5/12 inside. So you get y minus 2.5 equals 5 over 12x minus, well, notice 12 doesn't go into 20, but 4 goes into both of them. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you get minus 25, because 5 times 5 is 25, over 3. Well, now let's get y by itself. So let's add 2.5 to both sides. So since I have a fraction on the right-hand side, I'm going to write that as a fraction. 2.5 is 5 over 2. So we're going to say y equals 5 over 12x minus, well, let's go plus. I'll put that as a negative. Common denominator between 3 and 2 is 6. So in other words, 3 times 2 is 6, so you have to multiply this by 2, so negative 50. 2 times 3 is 6, so you multiply by 3, so plus 15. So I can rewrite this equation as 5 over 12x minus, because 50 minus 15 would be 35 over 6. And there's the equation for part A. 5/12 x minus 35 over 6. Now, let's take a look at part B. Part B of our question says if Rachel runs along the path of the shortest distance to the intercept, or to intercept the baseball, what are the coordinates of the point she will end up? And I told you that's got to be the perpendicular line. So in other words, I want to find the equation of this perpendicular line first off, and then I want to find out where that intersects the baseball path. So that's what we're looking there. So now we're going to write the equation of that perpendicular line. Well, we know the slope. I'm going to change my pen colors here so you can see the difference. The slope, since it's perpendicular, is the opposite reciprocal. So m is going to be negative 12 over 5. It's going to go through the point of Rachel, who is at negative 3.7. And we're going to go through the same process again. We're going to write the equation of this line first. So y minus 7 equals negative 12 over 5 times x minus a negative 3, point slope form. I'll change it to x plus 3. We'll distribute because I want to get y by itself. So y minus 7 equals negative 12 over 5x minus, and you see 3 and 5 don't reduce, so do this. So you get minus 36, that's a terrible looking 6, over 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add 7 to both sides. 7 over 1 really, to get y by itself. So y equals negative 12 over 5x. Let's find the common denominator. The common denominator is 5, so you don't have to change the 36 at all. But you have to multiply 1 by 5 to get the common denominator. So 7 times 5 is 35. Now, let's add those. So y equals negative 12 over 5x. Negative 36 plus 35 would be negative 1 over 5. That's the equation of the line. I want to find the point where this line intersects this line. So in other words, I'm going to set, since I got y by itself, that's the reason I did that, I'm going to set them equal to each other and solve for x. So in other words, we're still not done here. This is a long problem. We're going to say negative 12 over 5x minus 1 over 5 equals our equation of our other line, 5/12 minus 35 over 6. 5/12 x minus 35 over 6. Ooh, that is so ugly looking. Fractions just make the problem ugly. So let's look at the common denominator. Well, 5 and 5 are the same. 5 and 12, that'd be 60. 60 goes into 12, so I'm going to multiply every single term by 60. Well, 5 goes into 60 12 times, doesn't it? So 12 times negative 12 is negative 144x minus 12, because 5 goes into 60 12 times, equals, well, 12 goes into 60 5 times, so 5 times 5 would be 25x. And then 6 goes into 60 10 times, so you get minus 350. Now let's get all the x's on one side. So let's add 144x to both sides. And so we bring down the negative 12 equals 169x minus 350. Add 350 to both sides. End up with what? 338 equals 169x. Well, we divide both sides by 169. And x equals, is that 2? Not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that's 2. 338 divided by 169. Jeez. Not cooperating here. 338 divided by 169 equals 2. So x equals 2. Now I have to go back and find y. Doesn't matter which equation we're going to use. I'm going to use the one with a positive slope. So y equals 5/12 x, and what we say, minus 35 over 6. Well, x is 2, so y equals 5/12 times 2 minus 35 over 6. Well, 2 goes into 12 6 times. Oh, that works out really nice, doesn't it? Because now you have a common denominator. Your common denominator is 6, so y equals 5 minus 35 all over 6. That'd be negative 30 over 6, which would be negative 5. So the point where she intercepts the ball is at 2 and negative 5. That's part B. Now let's look at part C. Part C says, what's the shortest distance that Rachel must run in order to get between her friend and the baseball? In other words, what's the distance from Rachel to the intersection point, which we said was 2 and negative 5. We're just going to find the distance between those using our distance formula. So on part C, distance equals, subtract the x's and square them, subtract the y's and square them, take the square root. So Rachel was at, was it negative 3 and 7? Yeah, negative 3 and 7. I'm going to write that down. Now subtract your x's. So we're going to go 7 minus a negative 5 squared plus negative 3 minus 2 squared. Well, 7 minus a negative 5, well, that's 12 squared. Plus negative 3 minus 2, that's negative 5 squared. So then we get 144 plus 25, which is the square root of 169, which is a nice whole number, which is 13. What are the units? Because when we're measuring distance, we have to have units. They don't really tell us, do they? Since they don't tell us, we're just going to say 13 units. We don't have to include it. So the distance she's going to have to run is 13. Whether it be feet, meters, yards, it doesn't matter. That was kind of a long problem, wasn't it? That part B was very long. The other ones weren't so bad. Hopefully, the explanation helped you do this problem and it'll help you on your future problems.